A Brief History of Education, Part 3. By listening to students talk about schooling, and I'm talking about a broad and rich educational spectrum of students from the earliest grades to so-called higher education, you can quickly discover what they are thinking about while in school. How to improve their social ranking, for example, how to get good grades with the least amount of effort, who likes them, who dislikes them, and the like. Schools are structured today in much the same way as they have been for the past 100 years, maybe even hundreds of years. And for all these years, philosophers of education, social and cultural critics, and others have argued that school is really a bad idea. Schools should simply cease to exist as we know them. The government needs to get out of the education business and stop declaring what we should know and then test us to see if we can upchuck whatever we've just been spoon-fed. Schools need to be replaced by safe places where interested and committed persons can go to learn how to do things that interest them. The government's role should be to create these places. Listen to some of the most colorful, acerbic, and reasonable critics of what they have to say about education. First of all, from Ralph Waldo Emerson. Quote, "We are shut up in schools and college lecture rooms for many years, and come out at last with a bellyful of words, and do not know a thing." From Oscar Wilde, "Education is an admirable thing, but it is well to remember from time to time that nothing that is worth knowing can be taught." Mark Twain, "First, God created idiots. That was just for practice. Then He created school boards." John Stuart Mill, "If the government would make up its mind to require for every child a good education, it must save itself the trouble of providing one. It must leave to parents to obtain the education where and how they please, and content itself with helping to pay the school fees of the poorer classes of children, and defraying the entire school expenses of those who have no one else to pay for them." And finally, John Adams, "There are two types of education. The one type should teach us how to make a living, and the other type should teach us how to live." We need to stop producing a nation of stressed out students who learn how to please the teacher instead of pleasing themselves. We need to produce adults who love learning. We need to stop thinking that all students need to learn the same thing. We need to create adults who can think for themselves and are not convinced about how to understand complex situations in simplistic terms that can be delivered in sound bites alone. Just put an end to schooling. Turn all the schools into recreational centers. So says the Reconstructivist. Be interested in your commentary.